Hey folks, how's it going? Today we are talking about Invincible, one of the newest shows from Amazon Prime. You know, Amazon Prime, that really cool streaming service. I don't think I've ever met a person who was like, oh, who needs Netflix? Who needs Disney Plus? I've got Amazon Prime. But to their credit, it seems that Amazon's trying to throw down with the big boys and make more content that is worthy of subscribing to. And one of those shows is absolutely Invincible. So this show was spoiled to me. I saw all these tweets, it's getting memed on with the dad and the boy, and for what it's worth, I will avoid spoilers. This show definitely has some pretty big reveals to it, so don't worry about that as far as me spoiling things. But the internet itself is quite excited about the meme template going on, and I'll leave it at that. So it got to the point when I'm like, I got to watch this show now. And I did. And I loved it. I genuinely loved it. And also, to my surprise, I thought I was like massively spoiled. But in reality, the show, the way it proceeded, I was like, wait, hold on. Maybe there's more to it than that. Maybe I'm assuming a spoiler that's actually not a spoiler, so I guess that's a pleasant surprise? Whatever, I digress. The show came out in March of 2021. It's based on a comic from the early 2000s created by Robert Kirkman and Cory Walker. I've never read the comic before. I didn't even know that this was a thing. Like the show, I heard about it like a few weeks ago, and folks were like, yes, it's based on a comic from the same guys who did like the Walking Dead comic, plus a bunch of other stuff. And at that point, I'm like, okay, word, I'm here for it. Let's see what we're dealing with. And folks, what we have here is a story that is taking the superhero trope and really messing with it. And you know what? And I'll explain. I know that sounds very broad. Like, what do you mean? Let me explain, okay? First off, it seems that Amazon just can't stop going to the superhero genre and saying, okay, cool, there's Marvel, there's DC, but what if we take this genre and make it dark? And it's not that Amazon's the one dictating this. These things obviously existed beforehand, but it's cool to see Amazon is like, we're gonna corner this market. The dark superhero genre, we're gonna own this. Because you have like The Boys, now you have Invincible. And I think it works quite well with the timing of the superhero genre. I'm not sure how many other folks can relate to me on this. I'm tired of it. I have fatigue when it comes to superhero anything. DC, Marvel, I'm good. I've had my fill. After Endgame, I started to think, I'm all right. I think I want to look for something different, something fresh. And you have things like The Boys, things like Invincible, where it's like, hold on, yes, superhero genre that we might be, but we do something quite different with it. And there's a level of, it's satirical, but not in a ha-ha way, but more of a, we're gonna flip the superhero genre on its head. Where you're used to the flying through the sky, or even to give credit where credit is due, superhero movies nowadays are a lot more dark compared to like the Justice League from like the 1950s or Super Friends or whatever. And I guess that's part of the appeal is how a lot of us assume, oh, it's superhero stuff, especially for animated, therefore it's going to be wholesome and cute and probably toned back. No, not here. On the contrary, it gets very graphic, very dark. And I think The Boys is a bit more dark with like talking about, and I'm trying to avoid spoilers here too, but just the entire way the world works in The Boys. It's dark, it's cynical, but here it feels a bit like that, but not as despairing. Despairing, is that a word? Not as much despair, though there is despair. You'll see. Watch the show. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a recommendation. Watch the show. So what's the show about? It's about this 17-year-old boy named Mark Grayson. He is the son of Omni-Man, aka Nolan, aka a Superman-like hero that came from another planet, came to Earth, and is now the hero of Earth, or one of the heroes of Earth. By the way, there's a bunch of other superheroes that guard Earth and protect it, such as like, I think they're called the Global Guardians, which is like obviously a play on like Super Friends or Justice League, like straight down to the actual characters with Batman, Wonder Woman, Martian Manhunter, and of course my favorite, Aquaman, who is just a fish in this universe. Mark gets his superpowers, and we start to immediately feel this tension building up, where it's like the father is waiting to see if his son will get these powers. He finally does, and then things start to get weird. I gotta say, first off, big shout out to J.K. Simmons. He's the voice of Omni-Man. And J.K. Simmons is an actor where he's one of the most imposing, threatening actors when it comes to his performance I've ever seen. He's a wonderful, wonderful actor, but have you seen Whiplash? Holy God. I've never looked at J.K. Simmons the same ever again. That man knows how to scream. And I went into this show thinking that, saying, oh, please. Oh, please don't be Whiplash, Dad. I don't know if I can handle that. And I don't know, I'll let you all figure that out on your own. But the world itself feels like it's a DC animated show, like Superman, but it's a lot more like fleshed out as far as like, I say fleshed out, not to imply the Superman animated show is not fleshed out, but it's like there's a lot of heroes, a bunch of heroes. There are kids who are heroes. The governments and the world are used to superheroes, so it's a normal thing. And this world, to massive credit to the show, I really appreciate how they develop it. Because I thought we'd be focusing just on Mark and his father, and perhaps a couple of other characters who might be along for the ride, or a villain here or there. There are quite a few characters in season 1 where they plant a seed where it's like, this character is going off to do that on their own. This character is now facing this issue. And it's not I'm not saying that, oh, a side character doing their own thing that has to do with not the main character. Wow, what a revelation. Movies and shows do that all the time. But there were villains and characters where I'm like, where'd they go? They disappeared. Oh, they're back doing their own thing. Where's this going? It makes me feel like they're planting seeds into the story for later on. Because the show got greenlit for a 2nd and 3rd season, which means it's already a big hit for Amazon. And I'm like, cool. Like, we have the main catalyst of being Mark getting powers and his father reacting to that. But there's so much more to it than that. And also to see how it might weave back into the story. See, the more excited I am about a property, a movie or show, the more I just kind of gush and talk. So forgive me. As you can see, I'm having fun here. I'll tell you what though, there are characters in the show who are not having fun here. You'll find out. I gotta say, the mystery of it all, from the very get-go, I enjoy, with the family dynamic, with the question of powers, how do you use them? Responsibility. There's an entire thing about, do you save one person or a bunch of people? Oh, the one person's a small fry. Who cares? You're focusing on the bigger picture. Ethically, that's interesting to me because you're still talking about individual souls, people who have their own lives and comings and goings, and to see Mark grow as a character, because he's naive. He's a dumb teenager. The show nails that, by the way. Mark absolutely is oblivious at times, too trusting, naive in the sense that he's not thinking things through. You have to think, Mark. And that to me works so well with his character. Because some teenage characters are like, you're a teenager, but you're not acting like a teenager. No, I definitely get the teenager, the dumb kid who's becoming an adult vibe going on here. I see it. And to amplify that with superpowers and to have a father who is like a god to this world, that raises the stakes. I also was hitting the fan theories where I'm like, ooh, maybe this is happening. I suspect this is the mystery. This is why that happened, or perhaps not. I was sold, invested even. The show is quite gripping, and from episode 1 to the conclusion, I was like, never bored. Great pacing, a pacing that was able to flesh out other parts of the story at a very organic rate, like explore the world, introduce other characters, and introduce you to a world that might not be the way it appears. And I like that. I really do. The demon guy, the Seth Rogen alien, the Thanos and his twin, that clone joke was pretty great. I say Thanos, it's not Thanos, but he looks a bit like Thanos. Cecil, the government, all these other heroes. So good. Oh, and speaking of good, the animation, love it. There are fight scenes that get so graphic. I had to look away. I genuinely had to look away. There's something to be said about the power of animation when it comes to, like, obviously animation is used in special effects for like these live action quote unquote movies like DC, Marvel, and of course like horror movies like Saw. You're not actually cutting people up, you're using special effects and animation. But for here, there are scenes where it's like Jesus, I feel this pain. I feel like I'm gonna throw up at how graphic it gets. That caught me off guard in a very pleasant way where I was like, whoa, okay, they are not holding their punches, literally. So overall, a great show. As I said before, I highly recommend it. It absolutely lives up to the hype. And yeah, go check it out before you're spoiled like I was, because like, it's a good story. It's worth being surprised about. Don't spoil yourself with Twitter memes. Go watch the show. It's good. So I'm curious to see what you all think. Tell me what you all think in the comments, and I'll see you all next time.